Ever feel like the harder you try to fix your life, the more you're actually just losing it? I mean, seriously. You wake up, grab your phone, and boom. There's some guy in a $2,000 suit telling you that if you aren't up at 5 a.m., meditating for 40 minutes, crushing a cold plunge, and journaling your manifestations before the sun even comes up, then you're basically failing at life. And there you are, hitting snooze for the third time at 7:45, scrambling to find matching socks, thinking, man, I'm such a mess, I'm not doing enough. But look, what if that feeling that I'm falling behind vibe isn't because you're actually failing? What if it's because you bought into a lie that's been so perfectly packaged it feels like the truth? Stick with me for a second, because I want to show you something that'll probably change the way you look at your entire day. And I promise it's going to make way more sense than any miracle morning routine you've ever tried. So I was talking to this guy, Mark, 28 years old, tech job, making decent money, nice place. On paper, he's killing it. But Mark told me something that really stuck. He said, every day I wake up feeling like I'm wasting my life. The guy had a bookshelf overflowing with self-help titles, 7 different productivity apps on his phone. He even had an Excel sheet to track how many ounces of water he drank. He meditated, he hit the gym, he practiced Spanish on Duolingo. He did everything right, and yet empty. You know what happened to Mark? He turned his entire life into a giant to-do list for a better version of himself. And in the process, he totally forgot to actually live the version of himself that was already here. Now, don't get me wrong. Growth is great. I'm not saying you should just sit on the couch and rot. The problem isn't wanting to evolve. The problem is when evolving becomes the only reason you exist. It's when every single moment has to be productive. When you can't even sit on your porch without feeling guilty because you could be listening to a podcast or learning a side hustle. We've reached a point where even resting is a chore. We don't relax anymore. We optimize our recovery. We don't have fun. We recharge our batteries for maximum output. It's exhausting, right? There's a psychologist, Barry Schwartz, who talks about the paradox of choice. Basically, the more options we have, the more miserable we get. Not because the choices suck, but because every time you choose one thing, you're haunted by the 50 other things you aren't doing. If you spend Saturday afternoon reading a novel, a little voice whispers, hey, you're not networking. You're not building your brand. You're falling behind. The self-help industry loves this. They've turned your FOMO into a business model. They sell you this idea that there's a premium version of you locked behind a paywall, and all you need is the right course or the right 10-step system to unlock it. But let me ask you, when was the last time you did something just because? No value add? No personal growth, just because it felt good? When was the last time you watched a dumb movie without thinking it was a waste of time? Or spent 3 hours talking to a friend about absolutely nothing? If you can't remember, it's not because you're lazy. It's because you've been brainwashed to think your life only counts if it's an upward sloping graph. And here's the truth those gurus won't tell you. You're never gonna arrive. There is no finish line where you're finally optimized and can start enjoying your life. Why? Because the goalposts always move. You lose 10 pounds, now you need abs. You get the promotion, now you need to be a founder. It's a hamster wheel, man. A hamster wheel disguised as a journey of growth. Think about what that does to your brain. It tells you that you right now are just a rough draft, a buggy version of software waiting for an update. You're always living for the future, waiting for permission to feel good. Meanwhile, your actual life, the real one, is happening right now. Your friends are calling, your kids want to play, the sun is setting, and you're busy optimizing your workflow. Remember Mark? After months of this perfect self-improvement grind, he had a full-blown panic attack in the middle of a Tuesday meeting, heart racing, cold sweats, the whole I'm dying deal. He went to the doctor, got the tests. Everything was fine. So he went to therapy. And the therapist asked him one simple thing. Mark, when was the last time you were actually happy? He couldn't answer, not because he didn't have a good life, but because he was so focused on improving his life that he forgot to notice it. It sounds obvious, I know, but it's hard to see when you're in it. Because things like discipline and ambition look like virtues. No one's going to tell you to be less disciplined, right? But there's a massive difference between having discipline and being a prisoner to it. The philosopher Alan Watts used to say that life is like music. The point of a song isn't to rush to the final note. If it were, the fastest conductors would be the best. No, the point of the music is the music itself while it's playing. But we treat life like a commute. We're so focused on the destination that we treat the journey like something we just have to get through. Take reading, for example. Maybe you used to love books, but then you heard you need to read 52 books a year to be successful. Suddenly, you're not reading for the story. You're reading for the key takeaways. You're highlighting, you're note-taking, you're speed reading. And guess what? You hate reading now. You killed the joy by trying to optimize it. Now, I'm not saying give up. I'm saying that when growth becomes your whole identity, you're trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The more you obsess over fixing yourself, the more you convince yourself that you're broken. There's some cool research on self-compassion by Kristen Neff. It turns out people who are actually nice to themselves, who don't beat themselves up for being human, actually achieve more than the grindset crowd. Why? Because they aren't terrified of failing. If your self-worth isn't tied to being perfect, you're actually free to take risks and have fun. When Mark finally got this, he did something kind of radical. He deleted the tracking apps, he unsubscribed from the hustle newsletters, and he started asking himself one question before bed. Did I actually live today, or did I just check boxes? At first, he felt guilty, like he was falling behind. But then he started noticing the taste of his coffee, the way the air felt on his walk. He read a book just because it had a cool cover, and for the first time in years, the emptiness started to fade. So how do you know if you've crossed the line? Try this. Next time you have 30 minutes of nothing time, notice how you feel. If you feel peaceful, you're good. But if you feel anxious or guilty or like you're wasting time, that's the obsession talking. Healthy growth comes from curiosity. It's like a kid exploring a playground. They aren't trying to optimize their motor skills. They're just playing. And they happen to grow because of it. The self-help industry wants you to feel broken because broken people buy stuff. They'll give you a name for things you didn't even know were problems. Scarcity mindset. Imposter syndrome. Suddenly, just being a normal human is a pathology that needs a $500 cure. But what if nothing is wrong with you? What if you aren't a project to be finished, but a person to be enjoyed? That doesn't mean you stop dreaming. It just means you change why you do things. You learn a new language because it's cool, not because you need to expand your global marketability. You work out because it feels good to move, not because you're at war with your reflection. Life isn't a dress rehearsal. This is the show. This is it. While you're busy preparing to be happy in the future, the people you love are getting older. Your life is ticking by. So here's a little challenge for you. For the next week, every time you reach for a self-improvement fix, a podcast, a goal tracker, a how-to video, just pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I'm genuinely interested, or because I feel like I'm not enough without it? If it's the second one, put the phone down. Go sit in a park. Call your mom. Watch a cartoon. Do absolutely nothing for 10 minutes and watch that guilty voice scream at you. Then ask, whose voice is that anyway? You don't need to be better to deserve a good life. You don't need to be optimized to be worthy of respect. Life isn't a waiting room. It's happening right now. And the only thing you might actually need to improve is your ability to just be here for it. When you stop running away from who you are, you might actually like the person you find. Mark did. He realized he was already someone, flaws and all, and he didn't need a guru's permission to exist. So what would you do right now if there was zero pressure to be productive? Why aren't you doing it? You aren't a bug to be fixed, man. Happiness isn't at the end of a 360-degree transformation. It's right here, in the middle of the mess, if you just stop trying to earn it and start letting yourself feel it. If this hit home for you, do me a favor. Don't go watch another video. Don't check your notifications. Just sit there for 5 minutes. Do nothing. Just breathe and realize you're alive. If that feels impossible, then you know this message was definitely for you.